Welcome to Permission to Shine, the space where high-achieving women like you come to peel back the layers, overcome what's been holding you back, and rise into your most authentic, powerful self. I'm your host, Sharice Bisram, inner power activation leader and intuitive healer, and a woman who knows what it means to look like she's thriving on the outside, also while feeling disconnected on the inside. This podcast is here to remind you, you didn't come here to just perform, you came here to lead with your soul. Your obstacles, they're invitations to expand. And your power, it was never outside of you. It's been waiting within you all along. Each week we'll dive into honest conversations, healing insight and soul-led strategies to help you stop self-sabotaging, reclaim your light and lead your life, your business and your relationships from deep-rooted truth. So if you're ready to rise with grace, softness and fire, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode. I can't remember the number that I'm on right now, that's why I didn't say the number. But yeah, to be honest with you, I've got a really heavy topic to talk about with you, and as I always am, completely honest and raw in everything I'm going through, I wanted to take you through where I am right now and really show you how everything that I'm teaching, I'm embodying, I'm living, and I'm moving through in real time. And I honestly, I'm literally like, why? What did I sign up to? So, what have you signed me up for? Because it just feels like one thing after the other. And it's been, don't get me wrong, I feel like through periods of my time there are stillness, but generally I move through a lot all of the time. And it was only when I was a guest on another podcast episode, and they said to me, it's Honest Property actually, and the podcast episode I've just done, so find my socials and you'll see it on there if you want to listen. And they said to me, you've been through more trauma in your 30 years of life than someone that would live in their whole entire life. And just what I've gone through in the last few months has been equivalent to what someone would go through in their whole life, right? And I feel like I've been making it clear on my socials and making nods to it. And obviously I've done previous podcast episodes when the other things were happening at the same time to kind of let you all in on what it is I'm moving through. But today I feel like you really need to know why I do this and what exactly has been happening, so you understand that you can literally survive and thrive your way through whatever life throws at you. And thriving, I would say, is a word that's thrown around a lot, but I believe to thrive means to rise above, and to see another pathway. And if you're listening to time, we're in the Taurus new moon, and that is all what I'm experiencing right now in my life, which is the divide between the old timeline and the new one. And the choice really is up to you, whether you repeat the old patterns that have not served you, or if you choose a new way. And that's really where the light has been for me in all of what I've been going through. Because yeah, what I realize as well is that the ego wants us to believe that everything's happening to us, but the soul knows that it's happening for us, and also that it's not really our thing to carry. And when you've been someone that's experienced a lot of hardship and trauma in their life, and part of that, for me was as a child having to carry the responsibility of everyone else's emotions and things like that, because I was parentalized, meaning that my parent wasn't available to parent, and so I stepped into that role, that it would be so easy for me in this situation right now to revert back into that, thinking that I had to look after everyone, be there for everyone, care for everyone. And don't get me wrong, there has been a moment where that did pop up again, and I had to, regulate myself and say, no, this isn't ours to carry, and that for me, like I said, is the light. But if I give you a little bit more context, you'll understand. Now, this is very raw. I'm living this in real time, and it might be a lot of information at once that you might not care to hear. And it's more about me telling you all of this from a space of, if I can move through this, then whatever it is you're going through, you can move through it too. So this is more of a story of
inspiration and embodiment than anything else. So, if you're triggered by anything I'm saying, it is heavy and it's hard stuff. So just, that's a side note there. If you're looking for something more lighter and fun and happy today, this isn't it. But this is going to be the fire that, sets your soul alight to be like, right, you know, this is the power. So I'll take it back a few weeks, and one of my aunties passed away, and I have mentioned that before. Now, she's an aunt on my dad's side of the family, and my dad was the parent that was the alcoholic. So we had a very uncomfortable relationship with that side of my family because, again, when we're going through hard times and no one knows what to do, and you don't have the tools to regulate, you shame and blame, right? Again, why I teach this stuff, because I've lived through it. So we were getting blamed for the fact that my dad turned to alcoholism, even though he was a drinker before my mum met him. And it's part of our culture, as I've said to you before. So it was normalised, But the reason that my dad's family stopped really coming down to see us all was because of my dad's drinking. So it wasn't even like they didn't know. So then my dad is one of 7 siblings, and he's the only sibling that passed away. So you would think that even though my grandparents have lots of grandchildren and lots of, family, that they would make that little bit of effort for us because we don't have our dad present. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Now, what I want to say at this point is that this is not about blaming anyone. What I'm saying right now, I'm speaking to you through my lived experience and what I've gone through in this time. So we haven't seen some of my relatives for a very long time. And I'd say my grandparents I haven't seen really for about 13 years, give or take, right? So the last few weeks when my auntie passed, I wanted to be there for my cousins because, again, like we understand what it's like to lose a parent, and we've had a really good relationship with my cousins over the time, and I'd say all of the cousins, we kind of, we're all in each other's lives to some extent. There's some form of like, love and consideration for each other, even from afar. So, we were going down for them. And then one of the times that we went down there, my grandparents were there. Now, I'm someone that previously in my other life, pre healing journey, I would have carried so much resentment and anger for the way I feel like we should have been treated. And again, the word should is very prominent here. But again, I think as a grandparent, that's the role, right? And I've been lucky enough to have an example of what that looks like in my life through my nan, that was my mum's mum who passed away, and through my step nan. So I've got really great examples of what a great grandparents look like. And unfortunately, I haven't been met with that. So again, this is just my version of this. It could be wrong or right to someone else, but it is what it is. So yeah, we were met with them, and it was uncomfortable because it's one of those situations where your past self wants to take over, and they want to, react in a certain way or whatever. But for some reason, when I saw them, I felt nothing. And I wasn't sure if I was, blocking myself and armoring up, or if I literally had protected my energy so much that I just accepted what is. And, when I really journaled in it, I found that that really was it. There was no more emotions to be had in this space. I accepted them for who they were as human beings, not necessarily my family, but as human beings who did the best they could with what they knew. And all of the projection that they had to us about, saying you can't disown us, all of the things, which is actually what they've been doing, and all of that stuff. I was impartial to it. And then before I left, I had, they grabbed my face and was like saying all this like lovely stuff that for me is empty words, because for me, I'm all about what can I feel, and I know what's true. And I send so much empathy because I understand that, life can be hard, and they've grown up in a third world country. Everything is different, and I accept that. And I accept the role that I have been given in my life, and the whatever that relationship dynamic is, right? There's no expectation from me on that part anymore. And yeah, before I left, they kind of just said to me, oh, you can't disown us, we'll always find you. I went, I've lived in the same family home, most of my life. I haven't gone anywhere. And I just, for me, felt like that was a really owning of my power to say that I'm not going to say it's okay. I'm not going to say that it doesn't matter. But what I am going to tell you is where I currently stand in terms of the fact that I'm not passing shame or blame. I'm just like, this is me. Okay. So all of what you're saying right now is your words. They're not mine because I stand in this pillar right now. Now, what's going to be hard is that my aunt's funeral is next week. So it's all still really fresh. And this is a lot of information to be sharing. And I feel like a lot of people would be uncomfortable with this honesty and opening in live time. But I just want you to know how, when I'm saying what I go through and living through, that there's no smoke and mirrors with me, right? Unfortunately, for whatever reason, my soul wanted these lessons. So this is what I'm moving through. And processing all of that has been complex because again, that old narrative of, they should have done better, or my family on my dad's side is so corrupt, and all of these things could be playing out. And luckily, like I said, my cousin's bonds, a lot of us have just, strengthened in this time. And I hope that this is the invitation here for us to get even closer, because I really do feel like that's what that invitation is. And it feels like that. So that's a beautiful silver lining to all of that stuff. And again, being there for my uncle whose wife has passed away, all of those beautiful things that we've got to offer in that space is the richness of life, right? And the reason why we do what we do. But then on the other hand, at the same time, my stepnan, who I absolutely adore and has been a nan to me, went into hospital that same weekend. So I've got the polarity of the old family dynamic that doesn't serve me, that didn't give me the love and nourishment that I deserved, met with the person that has cared and loved me in this time, now being in a vulnerable position. And that was just a really heavy weight to bear. And I think because you want to be there, you want to save people. That's definitely one of my old dynamics as well that's come forward. And again, like my nan, who was my mum's mum, I had the opportunity to care for her when she was poorly, when I was really young. I was 13 when she passed away, but we moved in with her. We supported her through her journey. And so like these old patterns repeat, right? But in a very different way compared to the masculine dynamic that I was explaining before in my life. So every night, well, I would say every night, most nights for the last 3 weeks, I'd been going up to the hospital. So I've been running my business, processing the emotions that happened previously. And by the way, obviously all the eclipse stuff happened, which you've listened to in a previous podcast. Go back and listen to all of that, what I've gone through there. So I've come out the other side of that into this space. And then, yeah, my beautiful stepnan is going through all of these things. And then we heard the words that you don't want to hear. And it's been a roller coaster of a ride of just, accepting where she's currently at and what she's got to come. And this was a really hard thing because, the C word is nothing. You never want to hear that, right? And she's been through it twice already. And what I loved about her is that in the moment that I saw her yesterday when we found out, so again, it's all really, really fresh, she said, I'm going to beat it. And I was like, yes, you are. And I think that is the most beautiful situation you can ask for in that time, isn't it? That someone's saying, I'm going to own my strength and power. And what I love about my family, and this is my extended family too, is that we all value family so much that we've all come together. So, everyone every single day has been with her at some point. And that for me is a real testament of love, because when I look at my other side of the family and I see that that's not there, like that we do come together, and we have come together for that my aunt that passed, and we want to be there for those family members. But I believe that you create your legacy. So your grandchildren are testament to who you are, right? And with my stepnan, she's had someone by her side every single day. That shows the love that she radiates, that people are drawn to her because of the love she gives out. And I just feel like that dynamic in itself for me is complete polarities, right? It's like the old crumbling system that doesn't serve me anymore, but yet I still have a foot in that door because it's part of my bloodline. And don't get me wrong, I do not have love, because I do, and I will always love my family no matter what. But how I choose to give my power is a very different situation. And even in this scenario now, I could have fallen into that space of being like, and I did yesterday. I had a moment where I was, and it was a one moment I had where I was just like, why is these things happening again? You know, and the hard stuff, and knowing that I'm going to be called upon to be needed in this time, which is something I've been trying to break the system of for myself, to be in my masculine, because I don't want to be the one that's expected to do everything, and I'm not. Right? That's the ego, that's the shadow self, that's the heavy version of me. That's all I knew. That's her speaking, not my soul self. So I had to let those emotions complete their full circle. Like I always tell you, you have to process it, allow it out. I had a little cry, and then on the other side of that, and especially waking up to this morning as well, being like, right, this is an invitation now. How do we move differently? And the beautiful thing about this is that everyone is here. You know, everyone is chipping in. It's not up to me. It's not my responsibility, but I get to play a part in supporting her and being there for her. And I did it before, and I'll do it again. And yeah, it's just a real reminder, I think, that nothing is predicted and nothing is promised. So you can have these big goals and dreams for yourself, but life will inevitably happen, right? And the obstacles and the difficulties are going to come up. How are you going to deal with it? That's my thing about everything in life, is that you cannot control external circumstances. Trust me, I tried most of my life. Now, standing here where I am, is a reminder that you only ever have you and your thoughts and feelings that you can ever have any sort of say in, right? And I don't even want to use the word control, because it's not even that. You get to choose how you move through things based on, well, how you want to go forward, right? And I think that here at this point in my life, I could say building a business and supporting my family emotionally would be too much. So I could go and get a normal job and just do that instead, you know, not support my clients, just go and do a 9 to 5, because that would be easier. That's not what I'm here to do. That is not what I'm here to do. What I'm here to do is to support people through their hard stuff. And you know why? Because I'm doing it every single day, right? This is so encoded in my body and my DNA that I do not know how to be anything else other than what I am. And I think it's so powerful and important that this all comes through at this time for me to share, because in a world where there are a million amazing coaches and mentors doing it, and they have all the reasons in the world to be doing it for their reasons, right? Why they do what they do. And I love that for everyone. And there's so much space for us all to exist here. But the thing that makes me different is the fact that I am still using my tools and practices to move through with integrity, with grace, with knowing, with understanding, with love, with respect. And I'm still here, you know, owning all of this space, owning all of this hard stuff, as well as the light. And what I know for sure with every part of me is that we are in the universe of polarity. So as much as you have extreme beautiful highs, you will always have heavy lows. There is no escaping that unless you live a very mundane, safe life. And that's not what I'm come here to do, you know. I could run into a 9 to 5 that I would absolutely hate, and I would end up hating myself more for it. And that is too expensive of a cost for me to ever pay, right? So right now, my key focuses are finding pockets of joy, right? Making sure my cup is completely full, And so I can then help everyone else when I can, because this is the important thing about when you're a healer anyway. You know, we're naturally, as women, we are nurturers and we give all the time. This is for you too, right? You have to make sure that you are operating from a full cup. Otherwise, everything that you give is going to be half-assed, right? You're going to feel resentful for it. So you can't put yourself in that dynamic at all. You have to stand in your truth and your knowing from a place of, right, what do I need right now? What's going to make me feel better? So then I can give from that space. And that is exactly what I live through every single day, right? And even down to the masculine in me might want to take control, take action, do the thing. The feminine me is like, it's not for us. We don't have to hold this. It's not for us. So now I get to be like a divine player in this game of healing and supporting of my nan, but it's not up to me to control any of that. I just get to be, part of the process, and that feels so light and so beautiful and such a open exchange of where I get to be. I get to just serve when I'm needed. And how wonderful is that, to accept that and to not feel like you have to force anything. And if you've, listened to my journey for a long time, you'll know how much of a full circle that is for me, and how I know that this space of, divine feminine energy, divine feminine leadership, embodiment is everything I'm living right now. Because even yesterday, when I heard the news, I let myself feel it, I sat in it, and then I was ready to release, through crying. I did have a little shake out as well, somatically. And then I felt regulated, and then I knew that I needed to go and see her. And when I was walking up to her front door, I just felt so supported by the universe. Like I felt all this energy of protection around me, and I felt myself in my light because I knew that I had to be bright for her. And when I walked in feeling bright, I was met with her feeling bright too, and that was just the most wonderful thing in the whole world. And I think, you know when I say, like, permission to shine, it's that moment too. It's not just about confidence, it's not just about feeling good in yourself, it's about the energy that you let off into the world. That's the real part here that I want to share with you. And that is everything that I am. But I've known immense darkness throughout my life, and I still walk this path in the darkness into the light every single day, but I choose the light. And I want you to know that for yourself too. And with all of this being said, I am offering my one-to-one spaces for Rise up until the end of April. So the week that this episode is aired will be the last time that this offer is available at this price. So if you've been listening in for a while thinking that, I love what you do and I definitely feel like your support would be, really helpful for me, then please do drop me a DM or reach out to me, because yeah, I'd love to support you. Like I said, this is all part of my DNA. I do not know how to be anything else but this, right? And it's so natural for me. And I love the fact that I can give my knowledge and my wisdom and support you in finding out for yourself. And, I've got plenty of receipts as proof from my clients and the people I work with, even women that have been in spaces with me and just stood in the room when I've been delivering have been like, wow, I can't believe that you're able to do all of this stuff and, all these amazing things. But the knowledge and the wisdom I have has come from real adverse situations and circumstances that I've moved through, lived through, and still do to this day. And that's why I feel like, for me, this podcast and me sharing this with you is from a space of integrity and ownership of the fact that we are all dark and light all at once, and it doesn't matter what life throws at you when you are in alignment with who you are and who you're supposed to be, which is the work that I teach, that there is no storm that you will never make it through, like that deep sense of knowing, that deep sense of self-trust. You are anchored into the earth, grounded, but your light shines bright and ascends up into the highest peaks. And that, for me, that's the definition of permission to shine. So yes, if you resonate with me, and you want to, start your own journey, drop me a DM, because yeah, I'm living it every single day. And yeah, this is who I came here to be. And yeah, like I said, the fire runs through my veins because, you know, I've lived the cycle of death and rebirth over and over again. And that's why I burn so brightly. So I'm wishing you a really wonderful week, and I will speak to you soon.
If this episode resonated with you, please do like, share, and send to someone you know that would benefit. If what I've said in this episode resonates with you, please don't hesitate to drop me a message so we can begin your journey of self-empowerment through self-discovery. My process is simple. Understand what happened to you so you can accept it. From there, you can release what no longer serves you, and then we begin to rebuild your self-worth, your self-esteem, and your self-trust to ultimately ensure that you become the version of yourself that you were destined to be. Time to give yourself the permission to shine.